Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Help Is Here podcast, brought to you by the Beyond Compulsion Academy. In this video, this podcast, I'm going to be talking about Femdom content feeding on people's addiction. And I want to just start off by saying, when you're in a Femdom addiction or any porn addiction, you're going to have certain thought patterns which lead to you feeling pretty helpless, like you don't have a choice. And what I personally believe is that a lot of the content out there when it comes to Femdom content is really feeding on very, very addictive sort of thought patterns. And this stuff's dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. And I've experienced it myself. I was into a porn addiction, and that led to me developing a tolerance cycle where you end up looking at more and more novel sexual content, ended up watching some Femdom sort of stuff on YouTube. And it really hit my confidence because basically these women are kind of telling you, you're like a piece of shit sort of thing. And they're trying to humiliate you and all of that. So it was pretty dark. And I would say after engaging with porn and that Femdom stuff in particular, my confidence was just completely shattered. And I felt so much shame. I felt like the stuff I was watching didn't really align with my sexual tastes and desires. And it was quite hard to bounce back from it. And honestly, the symptoms would last for weeks. I'd be talking with people and I just felt like they could see that I'd looked at some sexual content. So it was a difficult thing to go through. Fortunately, I've got to the other side of all of that now, and I'm on a mission to help other people do the same. What I'll do then is I'm going to share with you a few examples of the sort of thought patterns that can come up when you're in a porn addiction. And these thought patterns are actually taken from the clients that I work with. So through our experience, talking with clients from all over the world who are struggling with porn addiction, we've noticed very, very common patterns, the sort of addicted thinking, which we see very regularly. And I can share how Femdom content is going to feed on these thought patterns in particular. Now, these thoughts that come up when you're in an addiction, they really apply to all addictions. It's not actually just about Femdom. But what you'll see is that, this Femdom stuff, it's kind of all interlinked with the addicted part of the mind. So we've just created a new phase in our program where we talk about courage versus fear. And what you're doing is courageous, and be proud of yourself for actually facing this addiction head on. And what we talk about is staying in the present moment. And you can kind of have all this future thinking of am I doing something right? Is this going to work out for me? How am I going to overcome this problem when I've failed thousands of times in the past? And all of those sort of thoughts come along when you're in a porn addiction. So we've seen our clients have those kind of thoughts. And when we think about the Femdom content in particular, it's really trying to make the user feel helpless and unsure of themselves. And they're going to be basically stuck forever. They are some kind of loser or something like that. So just want to point that out there, first of all, that the Femdom content is definitely sort of aligning with the addicted part of the mind. Then the other thing is the feelings that go with engaging in the porn addiction. So some of the feelings you're going to experience if you're in a porn addiction, at least these are very, very common. It's feelings of shame, having a bad sex life, lack of intimacy, wasting time, feeling lonely, having poor focus, feeling numb, sadness, a lack of trust in yourself, feeling low self-esteem, and feeling frustrated. Now, what we can see right away is things like feeling shame, feeling lonely, low self-esteem, not trusting yourself. All of those things, again, they kind of go hand in hand with the Femdom content, because the Femdom stuff is all about, you're there, you're a loser, you're on your own, you've got a problem, you kind of deserve to feel bad. And so it's almost like it's marrying up with those feelings of shame which already exist because of the fact you're in an addiction, right? And so again, that stuff, it's the women creating that content, I don't know. I feel like they should basically be held more accountable. But then again, I suppose the only thing we can really do is accept that, look, that's one problem, but we have control over our actions. We can focus on what we can't control and these women creating content, which is destroying men's mental health, or we can focus on what we can control, which is our choice. And moment by moment, we're empowered to make choices we're proud of. We don't have to look at that content. No one's forcing us. No one's got a gun to our head saying, look, you need to look at this content. But the truth is, that content is going to feed into those addictive neural pathways. It's going to really revel on those emotions which are quite intense already, like the feelings of shame, like there's something wrong with you, like you're stuck in this cycle forever. And it's just going to amplify all of that pain that you're already in. So another way in which, this Femdom content is kind of destroying people's minds, to be honest, is this helplessness, which I've talked about a little bit already, but these are some of the thoughts that our clients have had throughout joining our program, like at the start in particular. So thoughts and these are just junky thoughts, and junky thoughts are nothing to be scared of, by the way. We have a tool to deal with junky thoughts, and when we can see junky thoughts for what they are, which is just the addictive part of the mind talking, they become a lot less scary. So some of the thoughts that we've heard in our time working with clients is things like, I'm helpless, I can't help but give in, it's automatic. And I spoke to a guy last week who was talking about feeling like he was mesmerized when he was on social media, and he was saying how he got triggered on social media, he was mesmerized, and then he ended up choosing to engage. We really need to shift this language, because this language is so disempowering. The truth is, you always have a choice. You may feel like you want to engage, you may feel like your mind's really overstimulated, but no one's ever going to take away your choice. It's still up to you what you do when you have those feelings, those temporary feelings and that discomfort. You don't have to look at this content. So that's what I really want to get across, really. So hopefully this short video actually helps you a little bit. That's kind of it, really, in terms of how Femdom content can feed into your porn addiction. That was my reality. I think they kind of went hand in hand. But then the other thing to just really get across is that even if it's not Femdom and it's some other kind of content which doesn't align with your sexual tastes, the same sort of things are probably going on. It's probably to do with some feelings of shame, the tolerance cycle, and how the brain is forever wanting more and more and more, and all of that helplessness and feeling like you aren't in control of yourself, when the truth is you are always able to make choices that you're proud of, moment by moment, and no one can ever take your choices away from you. If you want to learn a little bit more about the Beyond Compulsion method, we do have a wait list open for our workshops. There will be a link in the description. I'd like to see you in an upcoming workshop and help you learn more about the addictive part of your mind. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.